Okay, so here we go. Now we're in section 4, chapter 3, section 4, and we're talking about these different statements: the converse, the inverse, the contrapositive. So we're going to start with problem number 1. It says for each conditional statement or statement that can be written as conditional, write the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive in if-then form. And some of the exercises may be helpful to first restate the given statement in if-then form. So what we have is if beauty were a minute, then you would be an hour. So if we go back into the book, I forget what that is, then you can see the conditional statement. What we're given here is P, if P then Q. So the converse is Q, if Q then P. So if you were an hour, if you were to be an hour, beauty would be a minute. Okay, then you have the inverse. So all we're doing is switching the the two terms. The inverse is you put knots in front of everything. So if beauty were not a minute, then you would not be an hour. And finally, the contrapositive it's by you switch the two and you make them both not. So basically we take this and just switch it around. If you were not an hour, then beauty would not be a minute. Excuse me. So let's just make sure I did that right. If first one is if you were an hour, then beauty would be a minute. The second one is if beauty were not a minute, then you would not be an hour. And thirdly, if you were not an hour, then beauty would not be a minute. Okay, so those are correct. Problem number 4. If I had a nickel for each time that happened, I would be rich. So that's the original statement. And I guess we would put then in there, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. If then I would be rich. Okay, so this is the P statement, this is Q statement. So the converse would be if I was rich, then I would have gotten a nickel for each time that happened. Okay, so that's basically what I said. The inverse is where we put knots in front of it. So if I didn't get a nickel for each time that happened, I guess if I didn't get anything would be one way of saying it, but if I did not get or did not have, if I didn't get a nickel for every time that happened, then I would not be rich. And then finally, the contrapositive is when you negate both of them, but then you switch the places. So we just take this one and we split them, we scoop them in, and we put the change places. Can't say that. So if I was not rich, then I wouldn't have gotten a nickel for each time that happened. Okay, I think that's enough of those. Skip ahead. So we're going to do the next section, which actually goes all the way through 18. Is that really true? Yeah, well, let's do one that's just symbols. So if P, then not Q. So that's the original. That's conditional. So the converse, you switch these. So that would be not Q, then P. The inverse would be not P, then Q, because if you do not of a not, you get slight negatives that cancel out. And then finally, the contrapositive is you switch these. So you'd say Q, if Q, then not P. Okay, let's move on. So number 19. My little cursor's kind of acting a little bit weird there. Okay, so 19. Write each statement in the form if P, then Q. If it is muddy, I'll wear my galoshes. So what are they actually looking for? Oh, they just wanted an if-then statement. Okay. If it is muddy, then I'll wear my galoshes. Okay, let's skip ahead to 25, 24. All whole numbers are integers. So you could say if 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 a number is a whole number, then it is also an integer. Let's see how they do it in the book. If a number is a whole number, then it is an integer. Okay, same thing. Same thing. Okay, let's add 5 to that. 29. I can go from Boardwalk to Baltic Avenue only if I pass go. So I'm thinking that's one of those if and only if statements. Actually, what it would be is if I go from Boardwalk to Atlantic Avenue, then I pass go. If I go from Boardwalk to Baltic Avenue, then I pass go. Okay, we'll do one more. Stop this one. So 34. Sarah will be a liberal when pigs fly. So you could say, if Sarah is a liberal, then pigs fly. If pigs fly, then Sarah will be a liberal. This could be the way. If pigs fly, then Sarah will be a liberal. Or if Sarah is a liberal, then pigs fly. So either one of those will work. Is that right? If pigs fly, then Sarah will be a liberal.